There'll be time for Q&A and you can catch up as well as view the recording. But a brief introduction. Hi, my name is Camille Jones, along with my partner in good, Nichelle Davis. And tonight we're hosting a meet and greet with candidate Tre Hutchins, who's running for school board here in Cobb County Schools for Post 3. We wanted to host these meet and greets just so the community can have opportunity to meet candidates in this virtual quarantine environment. We know it's much more difficult to get the word out and people aren't as comfortable with canvassing, but this is a way for us as community organizers and civic leaders to connect our networks and just different community people to the candidates, and so they can get their questions asked and hear their concerns. So this time I am going to invite Tre to introduce himself and just share a little bit about his campaign.
Sure, thank you. Again, my name is Leroy Tre Hutchins. I am a 35-year resident of Cobb County. I'm a product of the Cobb County School District. I attended Otis A. Brumby Elementary, East Cobb Middle School. Then my parents built a house behind Pebblebrook High School. And I started attending Lindley Middle School, and I was a member of the Cobb County Center for Excellence in the Performing Arts at Pebblebrook High School, graduated in 1994. I love Cobb County. It is a wonderful place to live and to raise your family. And so I had the fortunate opportunity to return to Cobb County. I was pastoring a church out in Phoenix for a little while, and then had the excellent opportunity to come and raise my family in the home in which I was raised in. My parents retired, moved to Florida, and said, hey, that house is sitting there, and I was thinking to myself, well, what better place to raise my family than in the place where I was raised? And so we got here. My oldest son, he graduated from Pebblebrook High School in 2016. I have a fourth and a fifth grader at Bryant Elementary, and we're just loving where we're at currently. I got involved with schools and with our schools through my children. All three of them have what we consider to be disabilities, and they have IEPs. And so I, as a parent, had to jump in and learn all these acronyms and learn all these rules and laws and regulations to best support my young men. And as a result of doing so, I really got involved. My parents were PTA presidents at Pebblebrook High School when I was a child. And so I remember their example of leadership. And so when I had the opportunity, I said, well, how can I get involved? And so PTA was my first venture. I became a vice president of a local unit, the elementary school in which my kids attend. And I later joined our South Cobb Council PTA, and that PTA, we oversee 29 PTAs here in the South Cobb area. And so I began my journey with PTA about six years ago. And begin advocating for my children through PTA and supporting them and supporting our parents, our teachers, and our students through that effort. Later got accustomed and trained to be on school councils for our area. And so I began to chair several school councils and be a part of several school councils. And school councils are the governing body for our local schools. And so I really got excited about that type of involvement and that type of engagement because it was more governance than advocacy. And so it was one of those platforms where I felt that was where I needed to be to help affect some change locally right at our schools. And as a result, we were able to do a lot of great things. I think when I was the chair at Bryant Elementary, our school was going through a transition. Our principal, who had been at the school for 17 years, was retiring. And so we had the opportunity to engage and collaboratively work with the school district in regards to who our next leader would be as part of that responsibility on being on school council. We also engaged a new principal with what the focus and the feel of the new school would be and what our curriculum focus would be. And so we've tried several different things as a school council and as the school as a whole in regards to art integration and things of that nature to help the academic performance of our students. And so I really enjoyed that aspect of it. I love PTA still. I'm the current co-president of the South Cobb Council PTA. And so I just enjoy this aspect of collaboratively working together to ensure that our schools are performing to the best of their ability and making sure that everyone has the necessary resources and tools to be successful. So that is why, that is who I am in a nutshell. Part of the reason why I'm running for school board is because of that work that I've done through PTA and through our school councils. Advocacy is great. it is exactly what we need to ensure that our children have what they need. Our principals have the tools that they need to be successful. Our teachers have the tools they need to be successful. But I realized that the governance table, having a seat at that table allows us to bring that advocacy into fruition. And so that is part of the reason why I'm running for school board, is to ensure that the the relationships that I've built through parent teacher student association and through our school councils in regards to the vision that we would like to see for our schools in post 3, I would like to see those things come to pass. And the most effective way to do that is to have a seat at that governance table, to bring the community to that table to really affect some of the changes we're expecting to see in our community. So.
Thank you for sharing. And hi, everyone. I'm Michelle Davis, the co-host for this meet and greet. And can you tell us a little bit about like the roles and expectations of school board, if anyone is not fully familiar with that, and what schools are encompassed in post 3?
Sure. The school board has 3 main roles, you can expect from your local school board. They employ or they select the superintendent. That's the leader of your school district. We develop policies, curriculum, budgets for the superintendent to use as his tool to operate. We also oversee facility issues, anything that has to do with capital projects and how we expend our tax dollars. Those are some of the roles of our school board. We also serve as a tribunal for some of those HR concerns and also some of those student concerns. And so we serve as that. I think when we start talking about the role and the expectations, that's 2 different things. So, one of the things that I expect from my school board member, and people should expect from me, that your school board member represents your area in excellence, that they're fair, they conduct themselves with proper decorum, and that they're accessible, that they communicate effectively, that they're transparent. And so those are some of the things that I will be bringing to the table as far as, what to expect from your school board member. One thing to remember is that the school board member does not deal with the day-to-day operation. The day-to-day operation is the responsibility of the superintendent. Our job is to govern. And so, I oftentimes talk to parents and we're frustrated about different things, and we take it to our board member, and I say all the time, well, the board member is the governing person. He's not the day-to-day person. So let's try to maneuver and find out who we need to speak with to get those concerns taken care of. And so that'll be one of the things that I will do, is to help streamline some of that communication as well.
Okay, thank you. Our next question, as you see it, what are some of the current issues affecting the communities and students within Cobb County schools, and what solutions or ideas would you like to bring to the board?
Okay, before I answer that, let me give you the schools I represent in post 3.
Oh,
so yeah, we have, I have 2 clusters particularly, and when I say cluster, schools that feed into the high schools. So I have Pebblebrook High School, South Cobb High School, and I have 3 different middle schools: Tapp Middle School, Cooper Middle School, Garrett Middle School, and I will list off quickly the names of the elementary schools: Austell Elementary, Bryant Elementary, Clarkdale Elementary, Clay, Compton, Harmony Leland. And we do know that Clay, Harmony, Leland will be combining in August, so they'll become one school. Hendricks Elementary, Mableton, Powder Springs, Riverside Intermediate, Riverside Primary. They've also gone through some transition. So this next coming school year, they will be City View Elementary and Riverside Elementary School, and also Sanders Elementary. So we have a good round number of schools. The most unique thing about post 3 is every one of our schools, from elementary, middle to high school, are excellent schools with Title I programming. So I'm the only representative that will have that that beautiful aspect of school. So that we do have some challenges, and as a result of that, we do receive some federal funding to assist us in that. And so I'm the school rep that has all Title I schools. And so I'm excited. I'm actually excited about it. I feel like that's an excellent opportunity for us to really engage how we service our students and the type of programming that is utilized and needed to ensure that our students are successful within our Title I schools. So I'm excited about that. Some of the challenges that I currently see that I would like to work on, I think that there's a disconnect sometimes in regards to who is on the team. As we know, the school district's motto is we're one team, one goal, student success. And oftentimes it's always questionable as to who is this one team. And I want to make sure that parents are a strong part of this team, that our voice is heard, and that the voice of the parent is understood. Also, stakeholders. As I was saying, I've been on school councils for years, and one of the things that I found to be very effective is when we partner with our stakeholders and our other constituents within our communities, our local churches, HOA presidents, our different civic organizations and clubs that we have, the Rotary Club, the Lions Club, we have an Austell Community Task Force in our area, the Powder Springs Community Task Force, the Mableton Improvement Coalition. And so having all these different organizations at the table helps, and it strengthens our community schools. I'm good friends with Dr. Ben Williams. He's our Cobb president of the SCLC. And so having those type partnerships and the NAACP, those are partnerships that I value and make sure, and I want to ensure that collectively we have one voice as we're advocating for our schools and as we're trying to build and develop our schools. But I want to make sure that we determine who is on this one team, and that we support this team collectively. So I want to make sure that every voice is heard, every voice is respected, in regards to who the one team, one goal, so that the ultimate goal is student success. So that's one of the things that I would like to see. As the only board member with Title I schools, we have a lot of challenges. We do receive some federal funding and to help support our academic needs, but I'll tell you, we need strong programming. And so one of the things that I would like to see in every one of our elementary, middle, and high schools is some type of focus. I'm lucky enough to have a magnet program at both of the high schools. Pebblebrook is the home to the Cobb County Center for Excellence in the Performing Arts. It is the oldest magnet program in Cobb County. I'm a product of it. I think it is probably one of the best performing arts high schools in the Southeast, if not nationally. And then we also have a medical research academy or magnet program at South Cobb High School. I would like to see those programs grow. I would like to see them really flourish and really maximize their potential within our schools. But I would also like to see in our middle schools that we have a framework to help support students with literacy and math. Those are some of our challenges currently, and so I would like to see additional programming. A couple years ago, we had a principal at Lindley Middle School, who is now the principal at Pebblebrook High School, Dana Giles, and we were in school council talking about, well, what are we going to contribute to this academic school? What are we going to do to make it better? And I asked her, I said, what are you going to do to lead this better than it was when you got here? And we came up with STEM as being one of those things to help children to critically think, to improve some of that math literacy. And so we started a STEM Academy. I was excited to travel around the state of Georgia and Cobb County and look at what STEM schools look like and then tailor something specific for that particular community. And then to see it now being carried over at Pebblebrook now that she's there, I was excited about it. I would like to see something similar happen at Lindley 6th grade academy and something similar at all of our elementary schools. I would like to see more dual language immersion programs. I would like to see more art integration. Doing education business as usual, that doesn't work. I think we need good programming. We want to make education fun for our kids. We want our kids to love to learn. And so bringing in some of those critical thinking program pieces and some of those 21st century skills, I think that is where we need to be. And I would love to see all of the schools in post 3 have those opportunities. Also, this is an equity piece. I'm a data-driven person. Our district is a data-driven school district. When the data suggests that you need something, I believe that we should put our money where our mouth is, because that's what the data suggests. And when it comes to some equitable line items, I would like to see us move forward in making sure that that our students have all the tools they need to be successful. I had a different list of what I thought our schools would need prior to COVID-19. Now that COVID-19 is here, I've kind of refocused what I feel are some of the important things that our schools need. And one of them is technology. Technology is going to be a big need, especially as we're moving forward into digital learning and things of that nature. But that is going to be my focus moving forward. How do we recoup from COVID-19? And how do we reimagine education moving forward? I think we're in an excellent opportunity to do so, but technology has to be a big part of that. So we're going to have to find the money for that. Even though, our state is talking about budget cuts and things of that nature, we're going to have to be creative to still do what we need to do to make sure kids are successful, especially our most vulnerable of kids. And so you're going to see me doing that. Some of the things that you're going to always see me advocating for is how do we close the academic gap for our schools here in South Cobb area? When I look at the data, the reality is 70% of students, third grade students, are not reading on grade level. 70%. That is the average of all the schools, all the elementary schools that are in post 3. 70% of those students are not reading on third grade level. I am a father of one of those students. And so I understand the frustration and things of that nature, but we're going to have to put some good programming in place, some good literacy programming in place to ensure that we're closing that literacy gap. When I look at 8th grade students and how many are on quote unquote grade level, we're far below the other posts and the other schools in Cobb County. And so we're going to have to really change and reimagine how we do things so that we can better close those academic gaps. So that's it in a nutshell. I would hope that as a post, one of the things I will be bringing to the table is a long-term strategic plan on how we can improve our schools. I think looking just at the strategic plan for the district is one thing, but I want to make sure that we're looking specifically at the strategic plan for the post that has all Title I programming and has a different subset of needs. And so I'll be looking to make sure that we're focusing on a specific strategic plan for post 3 as well. And while my job is not specifically post 3, my job is to do what's best for all kids in Cobb County. I do have a obligation to the constituents of post 3 to ensure that we are pushing our schools forward. And so I will be doing both, making sure Cobb County as a whole is functioning properly and making sure that all kids are receiving what they need, but I also will be focusing on advocating and making sure that we have policy in place to ensure that South Cobb is also performing as well.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing your vision really for your post and for Cobb County as a whole, this whole school district. Can you share with us, in a nutshell, what makes you the man for the job? Why should people vote for you? And how do we get connected with the campaign and all of that?
I'm a team player. I believe in being collaborative and working with the team. I'm not intimidated by the team. I actually believe it makes my job easier as a leader when you have the team behind you. You have to have community buy-in. And so I want to be able to continue to build my relationships with our stakeholders so that we can collectively come together and help to really improve what we consider to be the South Cobb area schools. And not just from a school district perspective, but from a county perspective. I work well with my current commissioner. I work well with all of the candidates we have for District 4. In which we reside in, and I have a good relationship with existing board members and even some of the candidates that are in some of the other candidates and some of the other posts. But it's going to take relationship for us to get some of these things done. And so I'm one of those persons that I believe in developing strong relationships. I believe in collaboratively working together with stakeholders, our elected officials, parents, students, teachers. I love the student voice because at the end of the day, this is for them. Public education is for them. And so hearing their voice and having them at the table is what's going to help strengthen us to really develop education for them and in a way that they can receive it and enjoy it. And so that is why I am the best candidate for this particular position, because I will be working with us collaboratively to make this our better school district. It's not about one person's vision and one person's desire. This is a collective work of the community. And I'm a community person. This is what I'm here to do, is to change the narrative. That's my campaign slogan. We're going to change the narrative. And it's going to take all of us to do that. I'm in an organization called State of Our Schools. Our slogan that we come up with is the state of our community is the state of our schools, and vice versa. The state of our schools is the state of our community. The school is the heartbeat of the community. And so in order for South Cobb to thrive, our schools are going to have to thrive. And so many people know me as the city hood guy because I'm focusing on, getting the information to determine whether we are feasible to become a city. Because I believe that, as a community, all boats must rise at the same time. So I want to make sure that education is thriving, our schools are thriving, because when that happens, our property values thrive. Businesses come to the area. South Cobb will grow. And so those are some of the things that I'm focusing on to ensure that we grow and that we do thrive and that we are, no one wants to say South Cobb and then think negative. That will no longer be the thought process. When you think of South Cobb, you're gonna think of thriving schools and a thriving community. So that is why you should vote for me. That is also what I will give up myself to do as a community leader here in South Cobb. So how can you reach me? I am on all social media platforms. My social media platform, Tre for Cobb Schools, TRE. Everyone says, well, why do we call you Tre? Your name is Leroy. Yes, my legal name is Leroy Hutchins III, but my family's always called me Tre because there was 3 Leroys. And so, so Tre, TRE, there's no Y, TRE for Cobb Schools. And you can find me, Tre for Cobb Schools, on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I'm on all 3 of those platforms. And my website is treforcobbschools.com. Thank you. Somebody posted it for me. Yeah, so you can find me on all those platforms. And I'm very easily accessible. Most people have my personal phone number. I give it out all the time. There's no secret, 404-384-5302. I get calls all day and all night. The beautiful thing is I am retired from having to work for anybody. I kind of work for myself. So I'm accessible. People contact me all day, all night. And I tell you what, if I'm not on another call, I'm going to speak with you. We're going to talk about it. We're going to hash it out. We may not always agree, but I will hear you. I will take that into consideration, and we move forward collectively. So, but I am easily accessible. My email address, my personal email address is trehutchins@gmail.com. My school campaign email address is treforcobbschools@gmail.com. If you need one of those business ones, it's tre@treforcobbschools.com. So I have a lot of different ways you can reach out to me and you can get in contact with me. Again, I'm accessible. If you call, even if you leave a message, if you text me, I'm going to get back with you. That's one thing I'm going to do. I'm going to get back with you. So.
Okay, thank you so much for just sharing your wealth of knowledge and your perspective. We are going to go ahead and turn it to the Q&A portion. We do have some questions in the chat, as well as if you have a question you want to ask aloud, you can just use the raise your hand feature or one of the other reaction features, and Michelle can coordinate and call on you. So we'll first start with one of the chat questions. This one comes from Jennifer. She said, can we please get a real evaluation of the superintendent, and one that it requires accountability for issues related to racial injustice?
Yes, thank you. Thank you. I know who that comes from.
Hi, Trey.
So, hey, let me say this. I believe that just as our teachers are teaked, just as our principals are evaluated, I believe that it is very important that the superintendent also has a very similar evaluation that has some type of rubric in it, and some type of some way to actually measure growth and things of that nature. As the post in Cobb County, out of all 7 posts, as the post where all the schools, we average a D as our, as when we're looking at our school letter grade, according to the Governor's Office of Student Accountability. When we talked about 70% of the students not reading, I have a different mindset when it comes to what data should look like and what progress should look like, and and how that should be measured for this particular post. So yes, I would like to see something measurable, something that we can post, so that all of Cobb County can peruse, so that and I think also, in addition to that, when it comes to culture and climate, I think we also should have a district-wide survey where parents, teachers, students, everybody who we consider to be on this team, our business community, our churches, where anybody who's paying taxes in Cobb County, our senior community, all stakeholders should be able to comment on how they feel our relationship is here in Cobb County. And I think we should have one of those Gallup surveys where everyone can participate so we can determine what our culture and climate is, because the goal is always to be better. And I know that sounds cliche, but that's what it is. Our goal is to always be better and to always make sure that we are doing what's best for the people of Cobb County, our students here in Cobb County. And so, so I agree. We definitely need one of those, a real survey type for our community to gauge our culture and climate. I also think that there needs to be a measurable way to determine, our growth and progress of our superintendent. And then also, as it relates to the equity question, because it came up, I believe that as a school district, because we do service a diverse community, that we need to make sure that we engage in an audit. We need an audit to determine if we're making all the necessary equitable steps to make sure that all kids are receiving a quality education here in Cobb County. If that audit comes back that we need an equity officer, I'm all for it. But I believe we need data, and that data is going to come from having an equity audit. So all those, I think I kind of summed up, try to get all of that in that brief synopsis there. But yeah, I believe we have work to do. Thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you. So we have a hand raised. Micah is on the call and has a question for you.
Come on, Micah.
Hello, Trey. My name is Micah Ducree. I am familiar with you because I am a teacher at Garrett Middle School. I also serve as our PTSA Vice President.
Yes.
So it is nice to speak with you, and it's a pleasant surprise. I don't live in the South Cobb area. So I did not know that you were running for post 3, but it's a pleasant surprise that you are, just knowing how much you have been dedicated to the South Cobb area. So thank you for doing this. But my question to you is, what are your goals for retaining teachers in that South Cobb area? So let me just speak briefly about myself. As a teacher, I have gone, like I said, I'm the PTSA Vice President. So within the 4 years of being at Garrett, I've worked tirelessly to recruit parent and community engagement. But as I've tried to progress in my educational career, it's been some stumbling blocks. So what is your plan, or has it come to your mind, or in a discussion of how you all plan on retaining good teachers in the South Cobb area? Because according to research and data, those veteran teachers are leaving. Yes. And this is not just, it contributes to deficits that children see because we're constantly hiring. Our turnover rate is extremely large. So do you all have a plan for how to recruit and retain veteran teachers, or the best teachers to the South Cobb area?
You asked a good question there, and it's kind of twofold. When we're looking at our CCRPI data, and it talks about transiency, most of our communities are 18 to 35% transiency, but our teaching staff is just as transient. There's no stability. I was talking to one principal, and being on school council, we're always talking about, well, how many teachers are you going to have to hire this year? And I've never been in a situation where principals are responsible for hiring upwards of 25 and 30 teachers every single year. And I'm saying, wow, that's 30 to 40% of your teaching staff every single year. What can we do to ensure that, they stay? And I know that the work is different in South Cobb, because again, we are all Title I. I do know that there are, other challenges and things of that nature that we're going to have to address as a community. However, we're going to need to support teachers better. We're going to have to do that. Many years ago, there was, if you worked in a Title I school, you received an additional compensation or some type of bonus package. I think we need to revisit it. I know that, money's tight and everyone's concerned with the budget and things of that nature, but I think that's something that we're going to have to do. It's funny. We were talking about the new principal at Lindley Middle School, and, over the last 10 years or so, there hasn't been a principal there that consistently for more than 2 to 3 years. Most of them have served 2 years and then time for a new principal. And that's not enough time to even get any vision going, to get, some stability, to track data, things of that nature. And so, one of the advisements that we sent to the school district was that we're going to need long-term commitment from our principal leaders. We're going to need our principals to be at our schools at a minimum of 5 years, before we start, changing them around. I think we need to do the same thing for our teachers. One other thing that I would like to evaluate is we need our strong teachers in South Cobb. Oftentimes, I am finding that we are getting brand new teachers straight out of college into our schools. And our colleges are not preparing our teachers to deal with some of the academic challenges that we have in our schools. And so we have the most inexperienced teachers dealing with what I consider to be the most vulnerable population. And I think we need to really rectify that as well. In my opinion, if a principal has more than 15 staff members, they need to be recruiting from within the district, people who are already have a track record of success in teaching, before we open the floodgates to brand new teachers. And again, new teachers does not necessarily mean they're not going to be successful. I think we just need to have a good balance. And right now we don't have that balance. But I think we're going to have to really work with our chief leadership officer and some of our area superintendents to make sure that we are retaining our teaching staff, and whatever that looks like as far as compensation is concerned. And there's other things that we can do to do that. I think it's time that we have something specific for post 3. We're definitely going to need it.
Great. Thank you so much.
And thank you, Ms. Dupree, for your question. That's also Garrett Middle School Teacher of the Year. So glad to have such excellent influencers and Cobb County leaders within this area joining our call and sharing their knowledge. In respect of time, Trey, I'm going to read the other questions and we can get to them, or you can respond to them on social media, just so that we are still within our prospective time frame. But some of the questions in the chat: can we expect more visibility from you in the schools? And another question was, with the uncertainty of what the school will look like in the 2021 school year, do you have any suggestions on how we can help our community to navigate and mitigate academic loss? And then there were some comments in regards to technology, like, yes, please. So those are some of the questions.
Yeah, I believe in being highly visible. I really do. That relationship I currently have, because I'm a council president, so I'm usually at majority of our schools through PTA and things of that nature. Well, there's some things that I want to do as a board member that some of the other that we may not have seen before. I personally will be rolling out a Student of the Month initiative where I personally will be coming to schools, all of them, every elementary, middle, and high school, and awarding a Student of the Month. I also will, and you won't just see me at graduation, so let me put it like that. I will be coming to school council meetings because as a citizen of Cobb County and a taxpayer, I will be attending those meetings as well, not as a school board member, but as a citizen. But I also want to do something for our teachers, our Teacher of the Year and our Classified Employees of the Year, in addition to what our school district already does. I don't want to just come when it's time to read Across America. That's not who I am. I'm the type that wants to walk into a school and feel how welcome it is, and meet with the principal and meet with the staff and just tell them, hey, we're going to do this together. This is a collective work. And so I've already talked to some principals about Trey wants to do a professional learning on how are we going to rebuild our relationship with our parents. And as a parent and and an advocate for our schools, I believe that piece is missing sometimes. So I want us to find those creative ways. And so I will be coming to your schools. You will see me. It won't just be, around, Read Across America Week and things of that nature. I have some things that I want to do to better support our students. And I want to really let them know that someone cares. That the person that you represented, that you've elected to represent you care. And so you will see me. You will see me. Put it like that. You will see me. Some of the things that I think we need to do in response to COVID-19, we need to, technology has to be at the forefront of that. Digital learning has to be at the forefront of that. Our schools are overcrowded in South Cobb. I think I have one school, maybe Compton Elementary, that's not overcrowded. But if I look at the Pebblebrook High School cluster, all those schools are overcrowded. South Cobb High School is under capacity, but those schools like Mableton Elementary, they're overcrowded. And so we're going to have to be very strategic on how we do learning come August. I'm not sure what that looks like currently. As the school district is planning it, I am actually creating some alternatives because I believe as parents we need alternatives. Whether that is a 100% digital platform for those parents that are not comfortable with sending their kids back to school. I believe that there needs to be an option for a hybrid where they go to school maybe 1 or 2 days a week, but they do digital learning the other 2 days of the week. So I think we have an excellent opportunity to reimagine education moving forward. And with some of the waivers that we see with the Georgia Department of Education, I think we're going to be able to come up with some strategies that's going to be beneficial for everyone while we're in the middle of this health pandemic. But we're going to have to be cognizant of the fact that the one size situation is not going to work. Parents are going to need those options. As a parent, I'm going to need the options. I have one son that has chronic asthma. I do not want him in a building during this situation. So I will be recommending a one digital platform for him. If that means that he's going to have to go to Georgia Cyber Academy next year, I'm going to have to, as a parent, make that decision if the district doesn't have those options available. But I believe that at this time, we're going to have to really be diligent as parents to determine what's going to be best for our families. I'm hoping that the district gives us enough options. I will be, we're actually making a survey now that we'll be sending out. And when I say me, there's several organizations that I work with where we'll be pushing out some surveys. So we're asking the community, what is it that we're going to need as a community? Because oftentimes things are just pushed on us without our input. And so I think Shirley Chisholm said, if they don't invite you to the table, you bring your folding chair. That's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to already have this discussion amongst ourselves as to what works best for our community. And then we're going to come to the table and say, here, this is what we have decided will work best for us. And so we hope that you can include this in your plan as we move forward as a community. Because again, as the part of the community that has already some deficiencies and some academic gaps, this is only going to be an opportunity for those gaps to grow. So we're really going to have to really be intentional about how we're going to mitigate some of these losses that we're going to see. I'm even in favor of summer school for those whether it's online, even if it's just an online summer school for those students that we've already identified as needing some additional support. I think we're going to have to really start mandating some of those things and saying, hey, your child is going to need this if they're going to be successful. And we can't be afraid to have that hard conversation with parents. Like, this is what they're going to need. And then have those opportunities available where we can start seeing some growth in some of those students. So.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing that. So that's the end of the question portion. If you have additional questions, please reach out to Trey. And this will be uploaded on YouTube. His contact information will be in there as well. So please get the word out. Whatever you learned today, share that. But before you leave, we do have a call to action for everyone on the call, because as was brought up, equity matters, right? Equity for our students, for post-3, for the entire district, just making sure each student has a chance at student success, right? So ACE, so we rebranded. We were once called One Atlanta, but now we're called Atlanta Coalition for Educational Equity. We got together with some of our Cobb partners, our community partners, and we basically came up with the equity agenda that we want our candidates, as school board candidates, to respond to. We want to know where they stand on the issues of equity in our district and how they want to or plan to address it, if at all, right? So please go ahead. I put a link in the chat. Click on that link and please just fill it out. Takes maybe 30 seconds. The email's already populated, but we want to put pressure on the candidates that have not responded yet, because we want to know and hear from them as to where they stand on this issue, because we want to hear. We want to know, like, how your vision for Cobb benefits everyone, right, in an equitable way. So, yeah.
And I do want to thank Trey for already completing the survey. And I know some of the questions throughout this evening, both vocally voiced as well as in the comments, were about equity and racial injustices within Cobb County. And for those of you familiar with the area, you may even have personal experiences and anecdotes that you could share. And so it is, for me, very important that we have candidates that believe in equity and want to push for equity within Cobb County schools, not only in Post 3, but throughout the entire district, because there are issues in other areas as well. And so we do hope other candidates, just like Trey took the step to complete this survey, the other candidates do the survey as well. And we are pushing you all, like Michelle said, just click the link and it emails all the candidates that have not filled out the survey yet to really push them, because Trey's one person, and though he is very vocal, he's very connected, it does take, majority votes on the school board to get some action, some traction done for all students. So it's important that not only Trey, who's running unopposed,
Yeah.
but still needs our community support, and still
That's right.
It needs to show that people are listening to him and believe, the vision that he's putting forward. But we also have to push other candidates as well to find people that are aligned to this mission, because there may be things that we want to do in Post 3, but if Trey doesn't have the support, then it's not going to get done in a way through the school board. So it's important that, regardless of where you live, to push all the candidates. So I just wanted to reiterate that. And in closing, we do want to thank Leroy Hutchins, aka Trey for Schools, Trey for Cobb Schools, for joining Michelle and I for this virtual meet and greet with our community and our networks. And we also want to appreciate those of you who attended this evening and who voiced your questions, who listened out and continue to share the message. And yeah, we hope you continue to join us. And Trey, we hope we could do this again.
Yes.
Getting closer to when we vote for you, as well as afterwards, just to make sure everyone's still informed and engaged.
Can I say one thing?
Of course, you can close it out. Go ahead.
Listen, so this is a very, 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 very important political season, and do not let COVID-19 keep you from doing what your responsibility is. And we have to vote, yes, from the top of the ticket all the way down. It's a presidential election. So again, it is very important that we start at the top and work our way all the way down. All the way down to who our House district is, all the way down to school board, because I'm probably at the very bottom. But we need to make sure that we're paying attention to that, because who we put in office, especially locally, it affects our quality of life here in South Cobb. So that's why I said I am building relationships. And that's one of the things that I'm excited about. I build relationships with my state rep, Erica Thomas. I build relationships with, my current commissioner and even all the candidates who are running for Cobb commissioner, because it's going to take us collectively to really affect change here in South Cobb. And so let's make sure that we do our part, and we're responsible in making sure that we vote and we used to say, take someone with you. Make sure that everybody's voting, whether they're voting by absentee ballot or whether they're going to show up. Because I'm one that's going to have to get in the line this year, because I'm going to vote for myself in that line. So, even if you got to take someone with you, we must be responsible and make sure we're doing that. Thank you.
Have a great night, everyone. Thank you so much for joining again, and connect with Trey on all his different platforms. And please fill out that quick, click the link, and put some pressure. We need equity candidates. All right.
Yes.
Have a great night.
Thank you, guys.